You know, life's unfolding seems to consist of fragments, single events, seemingly not connected, disjointed. They're only self-contained experiences. And increasing numbers of people conclude that there is no fit, no unity, hope for final meaning, an illusion. So many people muse that life is a riddle, disjointed, defining meaning, no finality. And what is the good? Well, it's nothing objective. What you value might not be what I value. Who is to say? And this is what Paul means when he says to live in the flesh. That's what he's talking about. He's not talking about sexuality. He's talking about a way of looking at life that is not including God. How very different was Jesus of Nazareth, who lived by the Spirit. In prayer, he searched out what the Father wanted of him. And so Luke thunders, Jesus resolutely set his face to go to Jerusalem. The Jerusalem, the place where he was to endure death, and the place of his resurrection. And whatever Jesus knew of this at this time, we can only guess. But what he did know was that the Father would have him gather others with him. And together they would continue to proclaim and to live the good news of the coming of the kingdom. Good news indeed. That God was now seen present in the seemingly insignificant moments of their lives. And that God would in the future bring together the apparently disconnected, aimless meanderings of God's people into a fullness that Jesus called the kingdom of God, the reign of God. And if only God can bring this about, he depended upon those called to be disciples of this Jesus. He depends upon you and me. I will follow you wherever you go, one person vowed. Oh, let me go and wait until my father dies, another pleaded. I will follow you, but first let me say farewell to my family. You know, these statements are ambiguous. They're the creation of the poet, as was Jesus' replies. But the message is very clear indeed. Jesus reminded all those who were called and who said yes to follow him. Jesus says that they follow now. The kingdom in all its fullness is future, but it is imploding even now. There is an urgency because it is happening now. Wherever and whenever people follow the lead of the Spirit, who move from conviction to action. You know, we have to admit that this conviction of ultimate meaning, with all its demands, this understanding of objective finality, of values to which we are accountable, hits against the brick wall of so many for whom everything is relative, for many meaningless. What is truth? It echoes very much Pilate, but it's present now. Any talk of ultimate meaning, they say, with its moral imperatives, is an attack on freedom. Just for you young people getting married, to speak of something that is a complete commitment to each other, to serve each other, no matter what, knowing full well, because you come from families, as we all do, that life is not perfect and your marriage will not be perfect, but that somehow you will stay there and somehow serve one another in fidelity and in honesty. This is to what you are called. But this is contrary to the spirit of the age. Jesus embodied the work of the Spirit, the will of the Father. And he embraced and affirmed all that is human. Jesus exulted in the love, the work, the joys of life. And in its pain, he knew that finally God would write straight with crooked lines. The God of Jesus is not jealous of our reaching out to his creation, relishing it, enjoying it, protecting it, transforming it into ever new creations by the power of wise men and women who are able to recreate and bring things new from the world? No. God does not ask that He be our only love, just our first love. And so Jesus says, follow me. Follow me and you will live in true freedom. Follow me in my way, in all of life's strange meanderings. Follow me unreservedly, resolutely, intentionally. Follow me and you will live graciously, unselfishly, and joyously. And so will you glorify the Father. When our Jewish brothers and sisters celebrate the Seder Passover meal, after opening the front door of the house, all assembled pray, may the spirit of Elijah, who enters our house at this hour, enter the hearts of all people. May He inspire them to love you, and may He fill them with the desire to build a good world, one in which justice and freedom will be the inheritance of all. Freedom, that's a slippery word. We're going to celebrate the 4th of July in a few days. And if we're honest, we will know that the freedom that comes from our founding fathers only slowly emerged and is still emerging. A freedom that doesn't say we can do and think whatever we will. A freedom sometimes that justifies many injustices in the family, in the business world. Read Pope Francis, what he has to say about the need to be very careful about the capitalism of our economic system, because unhindered, it brings injustice to so many. Freedom. It admits of many definitions. But for so many, it is not freedom for something, for affecting justice and peace and fullness. Rather, it's a freedom from any restraint on our selfishness, our egoism, our privatism. The I becomes king and queen. That's not the way it was for Jesus. Freedom moved Jesus of Nazareth to set his face resolutely for something. He ached to share his life-giving, life-sharing vision about what it's all about. Like Elijah of old, Jesus throws his mantle on those who accept him as Lord, those who would carry on his mission to be bearers of hope. Thy kingdom come, Jesus prayed. Oh, it will coming, and it is coming. It is present now, and in and through those who live faithfully and lovingly and generously. And so many follow the torturous view that we invent meaning, but that deep down there is none. We're all alone. So many, and they are among our families and associates and neighbors. So many say, you must be kidding. Meaning in every issue, in every relationship, in what we do, everything that we do. Meaning. And there is the puzzled look and the arched eyebrow. Do you really believe this? Well, the question is, do you? Do I? And only our life response will supply an answer.
Today, as we gather to celebrate this Eucharist, we also mark a special event in the lives of some members of our faith community. We celebrate the commitment that the following couples have made and the promise of their upcoming marriage.
Before we announce them, I just want to comment that we spent a good deal of a Saturday with these really great young people. I'm going to the pre-Kane thing. think the church can be very proud of the affection and the commitment that they're showing to one another, and also their desire to get married to the church. And little pitch, let's see if we can see you at the church here and say hello to them and introduce yourself. Okay. All right. Michelle Williamson and Daniel Payek. Heather Trappett. Adam Martinowitz. Jessica Najarian. Anthony Dorsey. Brittany Paul. Tom Paul. Katie Melligan. Jeffrey Moulton.
Jesus gave us the commandment that we should love one another. In loving, as in the union of marriage, we promise to be for each other, to be with each other, and to care and love one another as the Lord has done for us. As you approach the day of your marriage, I ask you to share your promises of engagement. Have you come to recognize the power and the presence of the Spirit of God in your love for one another? Have you? Do you freely declare your intention of marriage with one another? Do you promise to spend this time of baptism and growing together in the union of mind and heart and soul? I invite the assembly to stand and raise your hand in blessing over each other.